today's mindful moment, ready to dive into a world where angels and demons could be your neighbors. And where love, it might just be the death of you. We're going deep into City of Lost Souls by Cassandra Clare. You've definitely spent some time with this book. Just look at these pages.
Yeah, it's amazing how Claire takes these like really familiar ideas, angels, demons, that kind of forbidden love thing, but she twists them into something totally new. She pushes these characters so hard, makes them face these uncomfortable truths about power, loyalty, good and evil. And it makes us face them too.
Right. Okay, so let's start with Jace. Bound to Sebastian, his evil brother, and now his personality is like breaking apart, this Jace Wayland side of him. Well, it's embracing cruelty and violence. It's scary to see, especially since he used to be so protective of Clary.
This whole transformation raises this huge question about free will. I mean, is Jace really responsible for what he does when Sebastian's controlling him? Or is he more like a victim, like a puppet? Someone else is pulling the strings. It makes you think about responsibility, like what happens when we make choices, but they're not really our own?
Yeah, that moral gray area, it's everywhere in this book, like with the Seelie Queen. She's the ruler of the fairy realm. And she's playing this dangerous game, offering advice that's like a puzzle. And the price for her help, well, it's steep. She even calls Jace the prettiest and best-mannered. Seems harmless, but...
But it says a lot about how manipulative she is. She turns Jace into an object, like that's how she shows she's in control. It makes you wonder, is she really trying to help Clary? Or is Jace just another prize for her collection? She keeps us guessing every move she makes.
And then there's Simon. Now he's got the mark of Cain. Immortality, but also unwanted attention from powerful beings, like the demon Azazel. He knows the mark right away, calls Simon a wanderer. It's like he senses this power, but he doesn't quite get it.
This mark of Cain, it's like a symbol for Simon being stuck between two worlds, mortal and immortal, Shadowhunter and Downworlder. It puts a target on his back, sure. But it also protects him in this weird way. Even demons are a little afraid of him. Makes you wonder, could this mark be the key to beating Sebastian? Could Simon's unique situation be the answer to this whole supernatural war?
It's crazy how each character's story ties into these bigger themes. Like Isabel, her love for her family, it pushes her to make these incredible sacrifices, risking her own life to help Simon control his vampire urges, for example.
She's the perfect picture of strength and recklessness. That's what love can do, right? It pushes boundaries. Makes you wonder, does love make us braver? Or does it mess with our judgment and lead us into danger?
And we can't forget Magnus. His struggles with dark magic. It shows just how tricky it is to use that kind of power. He warns Clary and the others about what could happen, but he's also willing to make tough choices when things are really bad.
Magnus reminds us that even the most powerful people have to think about ethics, like when he warns them about summoning Azazel, a demon who wants a happy memory as payment. It shows that magic always has a price. Makes you think, is there even such a thing as good and bad magic? Or is it all about what you intend to do with it and what might happen because of it?
It's really fascinating how Claire mixes these big philosophical questions and moral dilemmas into a story that's so fast-paced and action-packed.
Exactly. She's not afraid to explore the complicated parts of power, morality, and the choices we make when everything's against us.
And she's always challenging us to think about good and evil, showing us how blurry the lines can get, especially when you throw in powerful magic and even more powerful emotions.
That's why City of Lost Souls is so interesting. We're not just along for the ride. We're forced to think, to ask questions, to look at our own ideas about what's right and wrong.
Speaking of blurry lines, there's this scene in the Institute library that really stuck with me. Clary's stealing those fairy rings for the Seelie Queen, and right before she takes them, she hesitates.
Oh yeah, that little pause. It speaks volumes. Could it be foreshadowing? Maybe she's starting to not trust the queen? Or is it something deeper, like she's uneasy about the whole path she's on? She's making tough choices that could have terrible consequences. And maybe, just maybe, she's starting to wonder if the ends justify the means.
That's what makes this book so gripping. These little moments are packed with meaning. They add so much to the characters and why they do what they do.
Absolutely. It keeps us hooked, wanting to get inside each character's head, figure out what makes them tick.
Before we get into the later chapters, let's talk about those relationships. Oh, they're messy. Maya and Jordan are patrolling together. Simon's watching them, feeling totally awkward.
The tension, you can cut it with a knife. Maya's guarded, still figuring out what she feels for Jordan after everything. And Simon, stuck in the middle, watching the girl he loves with the guy who turned her into a werewolf. Ouch. That's a recipe for heartbreak and drama.
Yeah, Jordan seems like he really wants to win Maya back. Even invites her to search the Brooklyn Navy Yard with him. Not exactly a romantic date, but maybe that's his way of showing he's changed, that he's willing to work for it.
It's interesting. Jordan's trying to prove himself with actions, not just words. He knows trust takes time. He's willing to go slow to earn Maya's love back.
And Simon, bless his heart, is trying to be a matchmaker for Alec and Magnus. Suggests couples therapy. A bold move, right? The relationship is anything but simple.
Simon's heart's in the right place. But he's underestimating what Magnus and Alec are dealing with. This isn't just your average relationship trouble. They're dealing with immortality, prejudice, and constant danger. Therapy might help a little, but it won't fix everything.
Pressure. Speaking of, Isabel finally tells Simon how she feels. Of course, it happens at 2 in the morning, over tequila shots.
That's so Isabel, using humor and a little liquid courage to hide how vulnerable she is. She wants to connect, for someone to understand the weight she carries. She misses Jace, she's worried about Alec, and she wants something deeper with Simon than he seems ready to give.
And Simon's got his own problems. That tense moment with Raphael, who offers him a job. Bodyguard. But Simon stands up for himself, refuses. He's done being used and manipulated.
It's a turning point for Simon. He's finally setting boundaries. He's not playing Raphael's games anymore. He's becoming more active, more in control in this dangerous world.
You go, Simon. But that newfound confidence gets tested. He overhears Alec and Isabel talking about Jace, and it's terrifying. He learns that the Clave would kill Jace if they knew about his connection to Sebastian.
That's a harsh reality check for Simon. The Shadowhunter world. It's not all black and white. Even love and loyalty can get overshadowed by ancient laws and prejudice. It makes you think. How far would you go to protect the people you love, even if it means breaking the rules, challenging authority, risking everything?
That question gets even bigger when Clary decides to follow Jace and Sebastian into a dimensional pocket. She uses those fairy rings to stay connected. Simon's totally against it, but he knows he can't stop her.
He's torn. He wants to protect her, but he also respects her choices. It's heartbreaking, but it shows how deeply he loves her. He's letting her go, trusting her judgment, even though it could mean facing something unimaginable. Clary following Jason Sebastian, it takes them to Venice, the city of masks and secrets. Kind of fitting, right? With everything going on between them. Clary's trying to pretend things are normal, like enjoy the sights. But you can feel the tension. It's heavy.
Like a pot simmering on the stove, about to boil over. And it does. When Jace admits he gave Sebastian the idea for that new mortal cup. Whoa! Talk about a punch in the gut. Even though he's being controlled, some part of him is still helping Sebastian.
Yeah. It adds this whole other layer of tragedy to what's happening to Jace. He's not just connected to Sebastian physically, but mentally too. Makes you think about who we are, Like how much can someone influence us? How much of ourselves can we hold on to when someone's twisting our thoughts?
And then there's that scene at the club, Sebastian being all cruel, surrounded by downworlders, but they're like under his control. Eyes glazed over, movements all stiff, creepy. It's like a glimpse of the world he wants, no free will. Everyone obeys him.
Total opposite of what Clary and her friends are fighting for, a world where downworlders and Shadowhunters can, at least exist together. Sebastian, he wants to go backward, back to fear and oppression. His way is brutal. Scary to think about that kind of future.
Clary doesn't give up, though. What she sees, it's awful. But it makes her even more determined to stop him, even if she has to sacrifice everything.
She's so strong. It would be easy to just fall apart, surrender to all that darkness. But she doesn't. Her spirit, her love for her friends, for Jace, that keeps her fighting, even when it feels hopeless.
Meanwhile, back in New York, a little bit of light in all this dark. Maya and Jordan, they kiss. At sunrise, on the beach. It's a nice moment. Maybe their relationship can heal after everything.
That kiss. It's more than just romantic, it's hope. Even with all this chaos, love finds a way. They show us that you can forgive, that you can connect with someone even after all that pain.
But then, bad news. They find out Luke's been poisoned by Sebastian's demon metal knife. They rush to Praetor Scott, the leader of the Praetor Lupus.
But Praetor Lupus, their headquarters is a whole different world from the New York Pact. Strict rules, lots of hierarchy. Scott, he's interesting, been around a long time, seen a lot. May is desperate, but she's smart too, and she convinces him to help.
And while they wait for a cure, things get a little steamy between Maya and Jordan. In the shower, no less.
They can't deny their attraction. But there are still issues, right? Maya's not ready to jump back in. It's understandable with what Jordan did before, their relationship. It's complicated. Desire, mistrust, and all that hurt from the past.
Talk about betrayal. Simon finds out Jocelyn knew about Clary and Sebastian's real parents. The whole time. He's furious. Feels like she kept a huge secret, something that could have changed everything.
He has every right to be angry. Jocelyn keeping that information from him, that's a betrayal, especially with how much Simon's done for Clary. It shows you how family secrets can have a ripple effect.
And Jocelyn's reaction. Almost as shocking as the secret itself. She seems more worried about protecting Clary from more pain than, acknowledging Simon's hurt. Doesn't feel right.
It shows how loyalties can clash, how priorities get mixed up. It can strain even the strongest bonds.
As if things weren't messy enough. Alec goes to Camille, a vampire with a long history with Shadowhunters. He wants to save Magnus from the pain of losing him. Because Alec will die someday. He wants to make Magnus mortal, even if it means making a deal with a dangerous vampire.
Shows how much Alec loves Magnus, but it's also a warning about trying to control someone else's life. He's so afraid of losing Magnus that he'll do almost anything, even cross lines he shouldn't.
It's like even good intentions can go wrong, especially when we mess with forces we don't understand.
Right. It all comes from Alec's insecurities, his fear of dying, and how much he wants to keep Magnus forever. But if he changes Magnus's destiny, he could ruin their relationship, a relationship that's built on acceptance and respect.
While all this is happening, Isabel goes with Jocelyn to the Iron Sisters. They need help to understand that demon metal that's poisoning Luke. But the Iron Sisters, not exactly welcoming.
The Iron Sisters, stuck in their ways, bound by these old laws and rituals, they represent this rigid, unbending side of the Shadowhunter world. They clash with Jocelyn and Isabel. It's like tradition versus change, holding on to the old ways, even when things are changing.
They're like guards of the past, right?
Okay.
Any change,
Yeah.
They don't like it. Sticking to tradition can be good, but it can also hold you back.
Their whole interaction with Jocelyn and Isabel, it reminds you that even in this world of magic and supernatural beings, some people want things to stay the same, even when crazy stuff is happening.
Oh, wait. There's a little bit of hope. Simon figures out that Luke's farm might be the perfect place to summon the angel Raziel. It's a risky move, but maybe it's their only chance to defeat Sebastian and save Jace.
Summoning the angel, that's a Hail Mary. It's their last shot. And it shows how loyal Simon is to Clary. He'll risk everything for her, for everyone. He's gone from this reluctant guy to a real hero, a light in the darkness.
And while Simon gets ready for that, Clary's stuck in Paris. Sebastian's playing these twisted games with her, trying to manipulate her, tempt her with power, a shared destiny.
The way Sebastian tries to get to Clary, it's fascinating and disturbing. He knows her weaknesses, her desire for family, to understand who she really is. He wants you to embrace the darkness they share, to join him.
He takes her to all these famous places, but even the beauty of Paris can't hide how awful he is. He shows off his power, makes her watch him kill a demon. He loves the violence, the control.
Sebastian, he's a reminder of how seductive power can be. He's not just a bad guy, he's a master manipulator. He knows how to play with people, to twist their desires. He's dangerous, not just because he's got powers, but because he's smart and ruthless.
Clary. She's trapped, but not broken. She's looking for a way out, a way to defeat Sebastian, to save Jace.
Her spirit's incredible. Sebastian's trying to break her, but she's stronger. Her love for Jace, for her friends, for her world, that's what keeps her going, gives her the courage to resist him, to fight for her freedom.
Back in New York, things explode between Alec and Magnus. Alec trying to make Magnus mortal, it backfires. Big time. Their relationship is shattered.
Heartbreaking. A clash of values. A loss of trust. Magnus accuses Alec of trying to control him, of not accepting him for who he is. He's angry, hurt. He pushes Alec away.
Alec's devastated. He realizes he messed up. He wanted to protect Magnus, but he pushed him away. And now he's alone. Heartbroken.
A painful lesson. You can love someone with all your heart, but it means nothing without respect, without letting them choose their own path. Alec's mistake. It shows how important communication and understanding are, especially in a relationship as complicated as theirs.
And while everything's falling apart, Simon gets ready to summon Raziel. One desperate gamble. It could save the world. Or destroy it. The tension's so thick you can cut it with a knife.
Everything leads to this. A final showdown. It'll decide the fate of the Shadowhunter world, the lives of everyone we care about. Will Clary escape Sebastian? Will Simon manage to summon the angel? Can Jace be saved from that darkness inside him? We'll find out. In the final chapters of City of Lost Souls. So, the climax. Takes us to Ireland, the seventh sacred site. It's bleak, empty, kind of matches the whole vibe with Sebastian's army on the move. This is where everything goes down. And the stakes, they couldn't be higher.
And right in the middle of all this chaos, Simon makes a choice. It really shows you who he is. He offers himself up
Yeah.
as a sacrifice to summon the angel Raziel. It's selfless. He's doing it for Clary, for everyone.
Yeah, Simon's journey, it's amazing. From this kind of reluctant guy to a total hero. He steps up, embraces this role he never asked for, even though he knows it could cost him everything. It's inspiring, but also kind of breaks your heart.
But things don't exactly go to plan. Raziel shows up right, but he's stuck. Because of the mark of Cain on Simon's forehead, he can't hurt Simon. And he's not sure about helping them. He starts asking questions like, why did they summon him? What are they trying to do?
It's this moment of, like, what now? The angel is here, this powerful being, and he should be, like, their hope. But now he's another problem. Makes you think about divine intervention, doesn't it? Free will. Even angels have to follow rules, even ancient oaths.
Simon, though, he's sincere and brave. He manages to convince Raziel to grant him a favor. Asks for a weapon, something that can take down Sebastian without hurting Jace.
And Raziel, he sees how selfless Simon is. He sees his good heart. And so he gives Clary the sword. Glorious. That's a turning point, a symbol of hope when everything feels lost.
Glorious isn't just some random sword. It's like a sign from God. And when Clary holds it, she becomes a true warrior, a shadow hunter fighting for everyone she loves and for the world.
The fight scenes, they're intense. Clary, with Glorious in her hand, taking on Sebastian's whole army. You can feel her desperation, her determination. She's not just fighting to win, she's fighting to save Jace, to bring him back from the darkness.
And then, this awful realization. Clary figures out that the only way to beat Sebastian is to break the bond between him and Jace, even if it means killing the guy she loves. It's a choice no one should ever have to make.
It's just tragic. Sebastian messed everything up so badly, and now Clary has to choose. Her love for Jace or saving the world. It shows what this war has cost, the sacrifices, the impossible burdens these characters carry.
And she does it. Crying, she stabs Jace with Glorious, breaks the bond. Sebastian's destroyed.
Yeah.
But Jace, it looks like he's gone too. Everyone's reeling.
Everything's a mess. Grief, confusion, Jace just lying there, consumed by angelic fire. No one knows if he's coming back. Clary's world has fallen apart. The pain is overwhelming.
But even in the darkest times, Claire gives us a tiny spark. Simon, always watching, sees something. Jace moves. Just a little. It could mean he's alive.
It's like a breath of air after you've been drowning. You're on the edge of your seat. Is Jace gonna make it? Can their love really overcome death? That's why Claire's such a great writer. She knows how to mess with your emotions.
And as the book ends, we see everyone dealing with what happened. The scars, physical and emotional. It's not a happy ending, exactly. More like bittersweet. Relief that Sebastian's gone, but also so much loss.
The last scene, Clary and Jace are reading a book. It was Will Herondale's. It brings us back to that idea of family. Even after all that darkness, love and connection are still there. The people who came before, they live on in the people who come after.
City of Lost Souls. It's not just good versus evil. It's about the choices we make, the things we sacrifice, and the connections that make us who we are. It's a book that stays with you.
If you haven't read it, you should. It'll make you think, imagine, and hold your breath until that last page. There's a link to buy the book in the episode description. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share it with anyone who loves exploring ideas. We'll be back soon with another fascinating topic. Until then, keep those minds curious and engaged.